Hi, welcome back to Godly Play, and we are once again having it right here from Miss Leah's living room. So I am so glad that you have joined me as we are going through this Easter season. Remember, last week we talked about the mystery of Easter is so big that it spills out into not just one more Sunday, but 6 more Sundays all the way to Pentecost. And we are learning to know Jesus in a new way because Easter changes everything. So we're going to just go ahead and start our story. This is one of those stories that grows, just like the stories during the time of Lent. So each week it will grow a little bit bigger until we reach the end. And this one is really long. Do you want to see how long it is? Let's see. We can show you how long it is. Are you ready? Whoa, look at that. You guys can't even see the end of it. Let me see. Oh, so long. So we are going to be heading towards this red square. If you at home, if you've been paying attention in Godly Play, you know what that red square is for. Okay, let's get myself all ready here. Then we will begin. Are you guys ready to worship? On the first Sunday after Jesus died on the cross, the women headed to the tomb where Jesus' body had been laying, and they carried with them spices that they were going to use to anoint his body. And on the way there, they wondered about how they would roll away the stone that was over the doorway. But when they got there, the stone had been rolled away. And when they looked inside, all they saw was nothing. Jesus was not there. All that was there was the linen that had been wrapped around his body. And the women, they went and they told the disciples, and John and Peter had run back, and they looked inside too. And they could tell that Jesus really was gone. And yet, somehow Jesus was still with them. And Mary Magdalene, she stayed behind. And she was weeping outside of the tomb when she saw who she thought was a gardener. But when he spoke her name, when he said Mary, she knew that it was Jesus. Remember, she ran back to tell the others. And on this second Sunday of Easter, we remember what happened on that first Sunday in the afternoon. 2 of Jesus' disciples were walking along the road, and they were heading towards Emmaus. And their minds were whirling with all of the things that had happened in the last 3 days. And they were shaking their head as they talked about the cross, and they talked about the empty tomb, and they talked about Jesus and what all of this could mean. And a stranger came up beside them as they were walking, but they did not see him until the stranger asked them what they were talking about. And they looked at him and they said, "How do you not know? Could you be the only person that doesn't know what has happened these last 3 days in Jerusalem?" And so they told him about the cross and about Jesus and about how there was an empty tomb. And the stranger, he said, "You are foolish and slow of heart." And then he began to open the scriptures to them. He told them about how they needed to remember. He He said, "Do you remember when we were trapped in Egypt and Moses led the people through the waters of freedom? And do you remember when we were trapped in our freedom and God showed Moses the 10 ways to live? And do you remember when we were trapped in exile and the prophet said, 'A little child will lead them'? And he told about how someone would have to come and suffer and die so that they would be fully alive." By this time, the stranger and the 2 men had walked all the way to Emmaus. The time had gone quickly as the stranger talked to them about the scriptures. And the stranger was about to go on when the 2 disciples invited them to have supper with them. And so they went in and they had some bread. And the stranger took the bread and he looked up to heaven and he thanked God for it. And then he broke the bread and he handed it to the disciples that were there. And when he handed it to them, their eyes were opened and they knew who it was. They knew that they had been speaking with Jesus himself. But then Jesus was gone. And they asked themselves, "Were not our hearts burning within us?" And they went back to Jerusalem to tell the others. I wonder if there are things in your home that you would like to add to this story. Or if there are things on your heart that you are wondering about as you get to know Jesus in a new way this Easter season. Are you still thinking about how Easter changes everything? Well, I will be back tomorrow for story time at 3 o'clock. We'll have story time with Miss Leah on Monday and on Wednesday this week, and then we'll have Godly Play again next Sunday. And I hope that you guys are doing well at home. I'm praying for you, and I hope that you are enjoying these stories and that it's helping you come close to God. Well, I will see you guys later. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to drop a note in the comments to let me know you're listening or how you're doing, I would just love to know. So I will see you soon, I hope. Bye-bye.